volunteered with World Central Kitchen. It was hard not to hear about the group because it's DC based. Chef Jose Andres has 30 to 40 restaurants in the area, and it's been a nonprofit since around 2010, serving Haiti at first after the big earthquake and creating a culinary school there. I had some connections in Puerto Rico, friends and family, or who I would consider family. After Hurricane Maria, I wanted to help, and going down there and finding wherever World Central Kitchen was set up, feeding people was a way to do that. They ended up feeding around 3 million people, I think, across that project, and we still have farms, sustainable farms going there now. Kept in touch. I was still doing another job working in the pharmaceutical research world. And then in June, there was Volcan Fuego, which is in Guatemala, which is another place I have ties to because of the nonprofit Hoops Sagrado, which somebody was talking about basketball refereeing. Was that Frederick? Cedric, I can tell you about that, but it's a local nonprofit. So it was a volcano and World Central was going, and I said, oh, well, this dovetails and I should go. And then that was last June, and they had me for free as a volunteer for a while, and now I'm employed by them. So that's my story. I want to let Matt tell you kind of how he got involved as an actual somebody affected by a natural disaster last year.
Yeah, so my name is Matt LeMasters. I'm a vet too, so I spent 6 years active duty in the Army. I was human intelligence. So I got out, spent about 5 years kind of floating around doing a bunch of random jobs. Couldn't really find anything where my passions and like hard skills and soft skills could really go to work. Then Hurricane Florence came through, was it last year, ripped through North Carolina, lost the house and my wife's business. Well, they were in town feeding, so I had never heard of them before. So we decided to go down there and just kind of see what they do. Walked in the room and was blown away. It was like an assembly line of like this crazy chaos of people making sandwiches and cooking food for thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So I stuck with them from there, went to Florida about 2 weeks after that, California after that, volunteered the whole time, and then I guess they liked me. And part of that reason was probably my experience in the Army. So, you know, chaos, disasters kind of fit in with us being able to work smooth. We can operate in all kinds of environments. Doesn't really matter. We're trainable and sustainable, which always helps. So yeah, that's how I got involved then. And I just got back from Africa, I don't even know, a week ago. I spent a lot of time not at home, so. But if you like to travel, it's awesome.
So you can speak more to that?
Yeah, with Team Rubicon UK, actually, they are two separate, they still have the same name. But yeah, they're an excellent veteran-based organization. They go into all the same disasters that we do. And you still see them like rucking through the middle of rural Africa, like going to houses to help people. So a lot of military experience goes into what they do, and the way they operate too. It's it's very structured and very. You get a bunch of crusty vets near each other, and they can make some stuff happen.
And for me to sort of be involved in these missions and working with people like Nat, and then we work with the National Guard a lot. I slept on the gym floor of the Emergency Operations Center. We both did with the National Guard for probably 6 weeks down after Hurricane Michael in Florida. I mean, there was nowhere to stay within 2 hours of the place. So, and that wasn't that long ago. I mean, we worked hand in hand. We had the Army brought in their satellite trucks so we could get comms up. So I'm just blown away every day by things that may be second nature to him. I'm like, oh my God, like this is so organized, and everybody, is just on it. And you have to be. And, they're long days, but it's really rewarding. Like he said, we work with Team Rubicon, other humanitarian groups, the UN, the UNHRC. We're working on the borders of both America. I've spent most of this year in Tijuana on the border, and then also in Cucuta, which is a border town where Venezuelans are coming across from Colombia because of the high rate of inflation and the lack of food. So there's other groups like the World Food Program, like you said, the UNHCR, Save the Children. So there's a lot of opportunity out there, I think, to get your feet wet across different organizations as a volunteer, and then who knows what happens, we don't know. Like I said, we were volunteers. They were covering our expenses and things like that because we built that trust and they knew they could count on us. And I think even for Hurricane Michael, he was already down there helping out chainsawing roads on the way down before he knew we were down there again. So, and then we ended up spending 8 weeks there. So that, you know, and I was really excited about coming here today too, because I saw Gavin was on there, and we're hiring somebody for Salesforce, and maybe we can, you know, talk to some people in the pool from VetForce and things like that. And it's not just, you know, out there in the field. There's also a lot of office work. Our founder will say he hates Excel spreadsheets and stuff, but you know, that's so he won't do them. We'll do them. It's still necessary. And you were going to use Salesforce, I think, for a lot of keeping track of our volunteers and registering and things like that. So one thing we do, and I wanted to bring this up because you're talking about starting a business, and it was funny when we got the first email to do this. We sent it to my executive director, and he was like, well, what the hell do you know about starting a nonprofit? I was like, oh, actually, you're right. So I wrote back, I was like, well, we can talk about transition and things like that. But then I thought about it, and actually, we start a business on every mission from scratch. We don't have any food trucks. Red Cross has food trucks. They couldn't go into Wilmington early. They had to wait until the storm passed. Some would say, stupidly, we go before. We go before the hurricane, wait it out, sleep with the emergency operations personnel, and then we're ready to cook the next day. We don't have any hard goods but what's on our back and what we bring in a suitcase or in a car. Like I flew into Atlanta because Restaurant Depot was there and drove down to meet them in Hurricane Michael. So it gives us the flexibility to be there first and then share intelligence. Matt is notorious for making amazing maps, and Jose loves maps, so that's great. And it's something that he did, you know, in service. And so, like I said, we work in leasing, we rent. We don't ask for people to donate their kitchens. We pay. We want to stimulate the local economy. We hire in Colombia. All our kitchen staff are Venezuelans that we're giving a stipend and helping them build a new life. Same thing we did in Tijuana. And we try to purchase locally. And then, speaking of, you know, Haiti, we went in 2010 and we're still there.
So yeah, I went to Haiti a couple months ago. Like I said, I'm all around the world. So I went to Haiti for about 10 days after the protests, and you can still see Haiti is in a really bad off spot. I mean, just Google it and you'll see all the pictures. You could literally stay in Haiti for 30 years. There's foundations that have been down there for 30 years. Caregivers Foundation, which is a foundation not partnered with, but
we have a bakery set up in the tank, and a restaurant that we hope to eventually get to be profitable, fish restaurant and stuff.
For lack of a better term, we partnered with them
on their campus.
And they housed us in their compound, so we provided food for their hospitals. They do a medical program down there. So this is just like one, and then we trained the school down there, the culinary school that we have, so that they can activate during another earthquake or hurricane or whatever it might be, natural disaster. They can activate real fast, kind of be like our first responders. You just call them, say, hey, activate the plan that we trained on, and they can be up and feeding while the core team's doing everything else to get that. Pretty much what I was floating around waiting to find, I found, so I got my dream job somehow. Well, because of the hurricane, actually, so it's the best and worst thing ever happened. But yeah, so it's a really good organization. And if you want to get with a nonprofit, pick the one whose mission or whose values most align with yours, and then use that passion, and eventually something good will come out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing a job for 14 years that I enjoyed, and I was working in clinical trials, early phase cancer stuff, a lot of data, a lot of travel and helping, but it was something that would be realized maybe 10 years down the line, and this is immediate, exactly. You know, making a sandwich and giving it to somebody is immediate. You know, you're curing someone at least for that day, and they can move on. And a lot of times these people are under duress, where if you're hungry, you're not going to make good decisions for yourself or your family. And people don't understand that. I mean, people say, well, why didn't they go to do this and do this paperwork they need down at the border? Well, they're spending all day trying to get food for their kids, so they have to make these choices. So hopefully we can take that choice away and make sure they have food. I mean, also, like when I first was in Guatemala, I just kept my head down, observed a lot, and I worked inventory in the kitchen, moving food back and forth. And it reminded me, my first job out of college was with Ferguson Enterprises, working in warehouses up in Lakewood, New Jersey. So I don't know, it's been a nice way to pair like the physical and the mental and the problem solving. Honestly,
most of us did.
We were just in and it's not on these slides, I don't think. We were just in Nebraska after the floods, and working in Nebraska, and then up in Pine Ridge, South Dakota, And we were serving mostly Hispanic communities because those were in the lowlands, and those are the places that got flooded, and it was helpful. We know enough to go in and ask some people, get us comida.
Yeah.
And then that endears you. I mean, we have people who volunteer a ton in Wilmington, actually, like with kids, and so they draw in the paper bags that go to the firemen. We serve a lot of firemen and first responders, and that then gets us in the door when a street that you can't go down, well, we can go down because we got the magnet and we got the bag of lunch, So it's very helpful.
I have a logistics question.
Yes.
Where do you get the food if you just have what's on your back and in a suitcase?
They took a chance on us in Wilmington. We have, we work with U.S. Foods and Cisco, who serve, large, probably the two largest food providers for businesses in the nation. We dropped 5 reefer trucks, that's refrigerated, on the premises behind the Emergency Operations Center, and they were still there in the morning, and we had a generator full of diesel, and there we were. So we'll do that. We did the same thing for Hurricane Michael, and then, if we can't activate that next morning, well, then maybe it's a day or two, but we'll get the stuff there. I mean, now we have such good relationships with them. And again, we just, it's all paid for, but by private donations. And, maybe some foundations are starting to give us some money and stuff. So, yeah. Logistics is a huge part of it. This is the director of logistics. I should have let you answer that question.
We try to stay out of the government circles, I guess you would say, because they slow us down.
They'll tell you what you can't do.
Yeah. So we do what we want to do because that's what has to be done, essentially. All legal, of course.
That's right. Yeah, and we form bonds. I mean, we're plugged into all these networks of emergency personnel because all the emergency operations centers talk to each other around the nation, and now they know. They invited us into their house essentially, which is good because in Hurricane Michael, this was right before he and I got there. The staff that was there, the hotel was basically off its foundation, and all the windows were blown out. So this is a great story. They showed up at the EOC and they saw the Bay County, I think it was the chief fire chief. They saw him hauling some food out of the back of his van, which was supposed to feed, I don't know, at that point it was going to be 1,000 soldiers and everyone else. And he was like, y'all, if y'all want to use this kitchen, if you can cook, we'll let you use the kitchen and y'all can stay here. And then we ended up doing a cafeteria style all day long. So everybody coming off the third shifts and everything, we had food out at night and then started in the morning. I always tell people, if I'm in the kitchen, shit's real bad. But I could reach into the pot, so I cooked a lot on that mission. We used Jose, obviously Spanish, loves paella, considers himself a paella master, and we had 8 paella pans going out back cooking rice and chicken. And each paella pan of rice can feed up to 240 people. Yeah. And then we had the paella guys come from Puerto Rico, and I mean, you spent more time with them than I did. I mean, they said, you can tell them what they said driving around seeing the damage.
Oh yeah, the damage in Florida was worse in some areas than Maria. So I mean, it was bad. But with paella, you can hook up a paella pan with a propane and a big spoon, and that's it. If you have the food, you're cooking 250 meals. And if you get 10 of them, you can really crank out some food really fast.
Well, in Puerto Rico, we're funding. I want to say we get $547,000 in grants to farms in Puerto Rico after all their edible crops were decimated. And now we're giving grants to farms, and you can go there and volunteer for a week, 4 weeks, whatever. And Puerto Rico is beautiful; it's amazing. And so there's opportunities to do that on the website, worldcentralkitchen.org, or it's easier, wck.org. So we have long-term volunteer opportunities, and then we have on our social media we post about there's this hurricane happened, we need volunteers, and we try to start local, and those are the people who obviously care and want to help if we can. But then we have trusted people like trusted me, they trusted Matt, and brought us in to do. They knew that we would stick around and work hard, and so there's some people we'll bring in from afar. But if you're willing to come, if you show up and want to volunteer, then we'll find a place for you.
Yeah,
that kind of deal.
Like in Mozambique, they have a monopoly on one company that sells chicken. So we just pretty much bought all his chickens, which was, I think we fed 250,000 down there.
Talking about
Mozambique, is that where we're at?
Yeah, it's still going, 5,000, 6,000.
Yeah, so it's from one chicken guy, who brings us all these chickens every day. So we go there, we build a relationship with them. Hey, look, we're going to be here buying a lot of product. Can we get, kind of an agreement? So once you establish that, we have like an advanced team, I guess you would call it. Somebody goes down there, does an assessment. Can we even get the food? What's our max number? What's our capabilities? A lot of that depends on the kitchen, the amount of destruction to the kitchen. We have to build kitchens around cooking. Like we had to do in Africa, which is also its own set of problems. So if you like problems and coming up with solutions to those problems, it's definitely good.
We haven't talked that much about the chefs, because he and I are not
chefs.
But exactly. Well, we're part of the team, but yeah. Chef, obviously, Jose Andres. He knows so many people. He's affected so many people in his cooking life and now in his humanitarian life that we usually don't have a problem finding a chef, but I mean it's really important, and they have to be able to scale up, right? This is like really good food and a catering scale on just the biggest, it's like feeding at a stadium, which is what he called when in Puerto Rico when they got up to, I want to say, 100,000 meals a day. They were cooking in the basketball stadium because he says arenas are just big kitchens like that people play sports in. So yeah, and they had people cooking paella outside and just sandwich line as long as you could see. He loves his ham and cheese sandwiches with a special sauce. So yeah, we have Chef Tim Kilcoyne, Chef Jason Collis has been on tons of missions, and Chef Elsa, who is coming. A lot of these folks met working the fires in California, and now they've been all over the world together in about 8 months. So, yeah, we couldn't do it without the chefs, or the food would not at least be not very good.